With so many players linked to Newcastle United, we're going to be asking the question, how is Newcastle's transfer window taking shape? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Shell. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Shell.
All right. How is everybody doing? Good evening to you guys. Just had the England game. That was something to watch. Goodness gracious. Well, let's try and move ourselves onto some happier times and let's talk about all things Newcastle, because we've got some transfers that have been linked to us, which is great. And just as I'm talking to you guys, literally my hay fever's kicking in. So forgive me, but I'm not going to be suffering on my own, because I've got a special guest on tonight. It's the brilliant James Mitch, and he's going to do a fantastic, while I'm wiping my nose and just either my camera's cutting out, he's going to be the man that's going to be able to take the show forward. And as always, back by popular demand. Mitch, how you doing, sir?
Not too bad at all. How's it going?
Living life to the full. We are living life to the full.
I actually weirdly took some positives from that England game, that Man United are trying to play that system, and it really is rubbish. It's not just Man United.
I hope they continue on with it, to be honest with you. I really hope. I don't. It's funny. I think Tuchel is kind of seeing, like these guys aren't really not. This is not good. Like this is. He's having the Amarin moment. Like, oh wow,
100%. And he can't spend no money to bring anybody in. The pool of players is the pool of players.
Oh man, goodness me. And good already got in the chat. Adrian Pickett, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Evening, Philip and Mitch. Evening to you. So I don't know if Adrian, you had an opportunity to see the England game, but there's a lot to think of. I think one thing I do like about Tuchel though is that he didn't make the changes. My only frustration is why Kane always plays 90 minutes. I don't mind him. He has decent games, but you got Ivan Toney there. He's come all the way from Saudi Arabia just to sit on the bench. Like, that's crazy. Like, play him or don't pick him. Don't bring him all the way to Forest, like, to be doing that. It's honestly crazy. And if they are going to play that way, I don't mind Conor Gallagher, but I don't think he's to make it work. And you mentioned it, if you're going to play that formation. Speaking of Zubimendi, he's in everybody's mind, but I think you need like that kind of profile of a 6 if you're going to do it. Even though I don't think that game was his fault necessarily.
But you need more of a controller, don't you? You need someone who's going to control the tempo of the game. And like none of the guys that Henderson doesn't really do it. Gallagher's not really going to do it. So you need someone that's just going to play to their pace, like you say Zubimendi does, like Vitinha did in the Champions League final. One of them type of guys.
Yeah, and the thing is, they don't have those type of flow. Vitinha, Ruiz, those type of guys, because PSG set up that kind of, I can't really describe it as a gate almost, like with the 2 centre backs that go out wide, the 2 full backs go out wide, and you've got that kind of gate around it. But then you've got the kind of midfield floaters going here and there. And Rice and Gallagher, they have their strengths, but
that's not it.
And that's not it.
It's just not it, is it?
You don't have Vitinha, Ruiz. That's not it.
The only controller we've got is Grealish, who Sophie's mentioned there. He's the only one who I feel an English one that will control the speed of the game every time he gets the ball. Right. He just plays too high. Yeah, he's never going to play in that deep for England. So it's a difficult place to be in if you want to play that type of way.
Yeah, or a Mainan maybe if he's at top speed, or Water maybe.
Do you know what? Thinking of not right now, but the way he plays, and in a few years, if he progresses like we think he should do, Lewis Miley.
Right.
He is that perfect profile.
Right. He's exactly. I'm going to be speaking about Lewis Miley today. And speaking of playing styles, folks, already got a few folks in the chat here as well. And for tonight's show, as advertised, we're going to be talking about the players that have been linked to Newcastle, what impact, how the transfer window is shaping up, and how it's going to impact the style of play. I'm going to give quite a comprehensive interview. We're going to go back to my armchair accounting just for a little bit, just because I feel like it should. I think I'm beginning to kind of see where Newcastle are heading with, where I hope we're heading with it, and to get you guys' thoughts throughout. But in the chat, we already have Sophie B. Good to see you. Let's all celebrate. No Madueke, no DCL, no glue. You know what? Speaking of that article, and I'm not going to spend too much on it, but it's interesting. I wonder why it's come. I forgot what the source of that was. It Athletic? Was Athletic? Wasn't it?
I'm not 100%. I haven't seen it myself. I've been on the road all day.
Sophie, remind us. I want to say it's the Athletic that came out with it and like stated. I think it was Chris Wan, the Athletic. Let me know, Sophie, who said that that's the players we're not going for. And it's interesting that they've come out with that because I think they're watching what's trending, and they want to stop people from worrying. They made me sad, but they made everybody else very, very, very happy. So.
Yeah, no, I would have quite liked Grealish. Madueke and DCL, I'm not sold on at all, but
yeah,
Grealish was one that I could really see fitting in with our guys.
Yeah, I agree. Adrian Pickett missed the match. Was it total shambles? I don't know what your thoughts. I don't know if it's a shambles, but I think Mitch, you said it right at the beginning, where I think it just exposes the system. It is the system that 3-4-3 type of thing. Like it's
very easy to get at if you've got very athletic players. If you're playing against an athletic team, it's very easy to get got at in that system.
Yeah. It's I can't remember if I think Chelsea only beat us once, but I think most teams that play 3-4-3, so beat Man United twice. We beat Chelsea. We played Chelsea 3 times this season, beat them twice anyway.
Yeah,
it's anyway. I think it just exposes the system, from my point of view.
Yeah, 100%. And the word disjointed would be perfect for what it looked like today. No one really looked like they knew exactly what they were doing.
Exactly. I agree. Sophie B, you did get your wish. England match. Yep, she wasn't happy with the England match. And it's better to know now than it is at the tournament. That's what I can say. It's better. Though, I don't know what you thought, Mitch. I didn't mind Eze as supporting striker.
Oh, yeah. I think Eze's fair. That's the one thing that system's good for, is you will get the best out of Eze.
Yeah.
But I don't think where Palace have got the perfect players to play it, we haven't. Like we've got Saka at right wing back and stuff like that.
That was crazy. When I saw that,
left wing back. What are we doing?
Yeah. That was hurtful. You know what? Man United are going to do that to Ahmad.
Yeah, they are. He's going to be the right wing back in their system.
Right.
100%.
So buckle up, guys. Anyway, Adrian Pickett, glad I missed it. It's the goodness gracious. It is the Madueke deal officially off. Everybody, people want to like get certificate. They want that very. They need Fabrizio Romano to say, "Here we know, here we know." No Madueke, sheesh, guys. I must have given you guys heartaches for this stuff. Gallagher, I don't think Gallagher's. I just feel like he's always put in the wrong systems. Like at Newcastle, I'm telling you guys, Gallagher in the Joe Linton role for us, doing the Joe Linton role, he's going to be as happy as a pig in mud. But you put Gallagher in a Zubamendi type number 6 role, sheesh, bro. You just, even Joe Linton will struggle in the role that they put Gallagher in today. Whereas Bruno Guimaraes is happy. Yeah. So, but they don't have a Bruno, so we do. Yes, it's off. Sophie's happy. Yes, it's off. Aaron Cave, good to see Aaron Cave. God bless you, sir. Why are we going for Jacob Ramsey? Lamine Kamara is the way forward. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to kind of talking about Jacob Ramsey, but it's a very good question around Kamara as well. He had a good game today, so he was having a whale of a time hacking away at Kane. Sophie B, Philip, let's talk about No Madueke. Well, yes, let's talk about it. We will talk about it during the show as well, because we're going to talk about Elanga. We're going to talk about various right-wing forwards it could be getting, because the price seems to be getting higher and higher. Sophie B, being confirmed by Newcastle, it was the Athletic article. Yeah, so no Madueke, no DCL, or no Grealish. And that's interesting that they've confirmed that, like, because I think they're thinking about what's trending. And I think they're sort of, maybe this is a very positive take. When you feel like something good's going to happen, but you're trying to not be overly like trying to bring it out too much type of thing. That's what I got from it. So listen, don't worry, guys. Don't worry. We've got this. We've got this. That's the kind of feeling I got from that. Because no one really makes announcements like that. I've never seen for any team make an announcement. By the way, we're definitely not getting this striker, or we're definitely not getting. Don't worry, guys. We're not getting this guy.
It is very weird, isn't it? Think before the takeover, the literal silence we used to get from the club on anything.
Jeez.
But then to now be turning out and going, actually, no, we're not going after these players. So don't worry about any of the links that you're hearing. We're not doing it. That was like, it's just so foreign.
Honestly. Aaron K. Madueke is actually terrible. Oh gosh, now it's all coming out. Now you guys are letting know. You know what? That's how I know you guys care about me, because when I was saying, "Oh, I like Madueke," you guys were being rather. It's all coming out now.
Yeah, everybody was scared that they would put him down so much, and then he would come in and they had to back him. They didn't want to say too much, just in case.
It's true. And we'll have to have like emergency streams. Madueke is actually terrible, and DCL less said the better. Yeah, you guys are having a great time here. No Madueke. I should have had the thumbnail as no Madueke. Oh, sheesh! I think I would have even doubled my audience today. Let's not hype England player. No one's getting hyped for England at the moment. Nobody's getting hyped. Sophie B, he really infuriated me. Should have played the cross earlier during the end. All tricks, no end product. Is that for Madueke? He came towards the end. I can't remember what he did, but I don't know. Yeah, she's not feeling Madueke. Okay, and said it from the start. I know ball people. You do, Sophie. You do. That's why I'm glad to have you on. Adrian Pickett. The Athletic article might be a ruse to lower Madueke.
Let's not do that, Adrian. Sophie's having a party. Let's not make her stop right now. Let her have her fun.
Don't do that. I'm going to leave this on there just for Sophie for a little while. All right, so speaking of players, and I can already see my screen flickering, so that's annoying. But speaking of players and we're going, let me get this on and what the show is all about tonight. So the players that we've been linked to, obviously, how the transfer window essentially is shaping up. And obviously we've got Mr. João Pedro here, and we're going to be focusing on him a lot. Because I won't lie to you guys, I'm quite excited about João Pedro. As we're talking more about our playing style and what we're going to be doing, that will kind of emerge a little bit more about why that is. But we've been linked to these five gentlemen here. Is it coming off quite? Can you see it on the screen quite well, Mitch?
Yeah, decent. Yeah, that's decent.
Yeah. Obviously, the big guys that have been dominating the first 2 weeks of our transfer window: João Pedro, Mr. Anthony Elanga, Mr. Mark Gahey. Mark Gahey a little bit less so, but I feel like, I don't know if you noticed, Mitch, that Palace are looking for Mr. Ousmane Diomande from Sporting Lisbon. So it looks like they're getting a replacement in already. So Mark Gahey, Jacob Ramsey. Obviously, I know that a few folks prefer Lamine Camara, but Jacob Ramsey is on there. And see what you guys think. And obviously, James Trafford, who even up to this point today, obviously Sky News, someone noticed, I think Terry from the Football Terror said it, and I kind of agree with the analogy. Sky News is becoming that kind of like, it's almost like your older auntie, where they come with the news a bit late, and you're you're pretending like, we do have mobile phones now. Yeah, like you can speak, and like Sky News like late. I feel like Sky News is late to the party, and we all got to like I wasn't overly impressed that it was on Sky News. Like I'm like, oh, Newcastle initiated contacts. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that was about 2 years ago.
That was about 2 years ago. But they were so excited about it. They're like, oh, did you know this? I'm like, yeah. No, I didn't know this. Please tell me some more. But anyway, Mr. Trafford, obviously, who again didn't play. I would have loved to have seen him play. But I'll say that those are the kind of five main links, and that came to attention. But all of them, I don't know what your take is, Mitch, is that, because I'm going to talk about it a little bit more, was they're all like either them or all those positions are going to be filled. So it's not like one or the other. So the constant messages, for instance, around João Pedro and Elanga is both of them, or especially without João Pedro, it's not João Pedro instead of Isak. It's João Pedro in Isak and Elanga and all these other guys. So that's why I put them on the screen as a total package, really, to kind of say that this is how it's coming across. Now, all of that, so like initially, so all that's going to come with its own. It's great for the style of play and everything else we're going to be doing. It's going to come with its own financial stuff. We're going to talk about very briefly about it as well, because it's going to have an impact on player sales and players we're going to keep as well, and contracts. But what's your kind of just like overall take on what you've seen in the past 2 weeks and on the players that we've been linked to?
So yeah, I agree that these 5 positions, it might not be these 5 players, but it looks like what they're going to do is try and fill all 5. I feel that Trafford and João Pedro are the 2 that are going to be definites for me. The other 3, it's more just a position that's going to get filled rather than the exact player, because João Pedro feels like it's one that's really close. And the more and more I think about it, the more and more I love this signing.
Yes.
At first, I was a little bit unsure, but I've watched a little bit more of João Pedro. Now, my only negative with it is I do not like some of the stuff he does on the football pitch. We've got Joe Linton who runs around smashing people, but some of the stuff that João Pedro does is a little bit too far. It's more malicious than aggressive.
Bruno.
Yeah. But that's my only worry with him. Trafford, very much sold on. I've been watching Trafford since the original links. I've got a mate who's a Burnley fan who has been first sort of 10 games this season. He was like, I'm still not sure he's a Premier League goalie. But since that point, he's like, actually, he's come on leaps and bounds and he's been ridiculously good. And he actually messaged me today and said there's loads of talks in Burnley that it's pretty much done now. It's just getting to where the fee is, what fee we're going to pay for him. Whether it's going to be sort of 20 rising or 25 rising, but it looks like the final price is going to be 30. They're just figuring out how they get there.
Well, Burnley banked on it because I think we've got a verbal agreement. That's all the ITKs are saying. We've got a verbal agreement with Trafford, and he talked about it as well. And Burnley banked on the fact that, hey, this guy's going to have a great. When we kind of talked to them last season, and we're trying to get him for 16 million. They said, no, we think he can have a great season. And he's had a fantastic season.
Yeah.
And he's shown, and I think they're looking at, this could go up to 40 million type of thing. That's the last kind of, I know the news said 30 million, then you're seeing 40 million. I think maybe somewhere, I think they're looking between 25 to 35 and kind of manageable add-ons. And yeah, I think that's where the tug of war is happening, really.
Yeah,
so
that's the only sticking point is where we start with the initial outlay and the add-ons and where it ends. And they're the 2 bits that sort of need to be worked out from what I've seen of it. Yeah,
exactly. And speaking of finance, I'm going to touch on a little bit of the finances, guys. This is, as you guys know, I'm not no accountant. I'm very much armchair accountant. This is AI. This is our official statements. This is Swiss Ramble, all molded into one. But like we've been roughly not too off the market, actually, following the likes of Kieran Maguire, Professor Wilson as well. So, but it also gives me a take why Newcastle are so, because I know I've seen a few people kind of, I feel like the online as well is different. They're like, oh, now that we're haggling for Trafford, Chelsea don't want Sanchez, now Chelsea. I'm like, sheesh, guys, like, pull your find pull your drop tracks up, like
too much in our fan base.
Sheesh, bro. I have some fight here, but there's a reason to it in terms of the finance. I honestly think it's not necessarily just the fee. It is going to be the wages and stuff like that. I think these wages will be fine. But speaking of finance and everything else, because it's going to be, with all these players coming in, there'll be players going out. And what does that mean for the team? But not just that. We're going to talk about a few other things. So let me just roll on to kind of explain what I mean. And folks who remember this, that have been here before, I've sort of updated it. And let me just zoom out a little bit, which is kind of guesstimating how much Newcastle will have to spend and how much what Newcastle will have to sell in order to get the positions in. And it looks like obviously if we're going to spend on those 5 positions, I've sort of estimated that we're going to have to spend about 100. We're going to have to spend somewhere around 180 million pounds, right? So in order for that to happen, Newcastle will have to do a number of things with that. So I've estimated that we'll have to make about between 66 to 75 million pound in sales in order for us to spend 180 million, and that's within the conditions of for the folks that know how obviously PSR, the 105 million threshold. That's me saying Newcastle will try to. This isn't just me guessing. Newcastle will try to be as within that by 10 million. For instance, so 95 million. So they've got a bit of space and flexibility going into the January transfer window. And hopefully by next summer, we're not, trying to phone Gordon and trying to sell him to Liverpool.
Yeah.
So these are the conditions that I've set, right? These are the conditions that I've set, that we're going to try and be within 10 million of the threshold. When I keep on saying headroom, it's within that 105 million threshold, which is around 35 million. So in order for Newcastle to do that, to be able to spend 180 million, which I think we'll have to do if we're going to buy these 5 or kind of buy players with that quality in those 5 positions, we're going to have to spend about 180 million, which is not absurd. That's like that's what we spent in our second transfer window. So that is, I think we're kind of getting back to those type of spendings, and that would actually being able to sell 66 to 75 million pounds worth of players would put us in the surplus of 10 to 30 million. So even gives us even more kind of flexibility as well. So the reason why I mention this, like you're saying, like let's just talk about buying players. The big parts, there's like 3 key elements to this. Why I feel like it's important to bring it up is, not only are we going to be thinking about the players that we're selling, the players that we're bringing in, the players that we're selling, but also the players we need to keep. And the Isak talk obviously has gone a little bit quieter, although we still get murmurings of Liverpool fans and everybody coming in different places, and that's understandable. But what brought it up for me was, obviously I was watching the Loaded Mag, and big up the Loaded Mag, and Graham Bailey on there. And he estimates, and obviously is a journalist, is a transfer journalist for the folks that aren't aware. And he estimates that Newcastle are in talks with Isak, and it's going to take a 250-week contract for him to sign, which, if we rate him as one of the best strikers in Europe, it's a standard procedure. Just if Kai Havertz is getting 300k, right? Mr. Isak can get his 250k. All of that costs, and this is why I think Newcastle have been a bit pernickety over fees, and why I feel, in my point of personal opinion, why we're gonna have to sell certain players that people might want to keep, if that makes sense, like your Harvey Barnes, for instance. And what will make this transfer window really good for me, which is for Mr. Isak to sign a new contract, 250k. So I've put it onto this, like, he signed it for 250k. I've guesstimated that the likes of Bruno Guimaraes will have to get an upgrade to about 220k, for instance. Gordon will come up to 180k. He's on 130 right now, similar to Tonali. And I've also kind of asked AI to increase the rest of the squad's team's wages by about 10%. But those 4 or 5 main players, I've guesstimated that's where their contracts would be. I don't know is that making sense so far, Mitch?
Yeah, that's making perfect sense. The only other player that I think would get a little bit of a jump once he's up and running again is Botman, because I feel like he's part of that group that's going to take us massively to the next level.
But even Livramento, if Man City, for instance, are sniffing around him, he's well within his rights to come up into the owners and say, "Hey guys, even Man City coming around, you're gonna have to make it worth my time to I love it being here, but it's time to pay big money." And I say all of that to say this, essentially, that this transfer window not only the season for me, Mitch, is that it was so important for us. What I'm trying to say is, all in all, is this season, Newcastle are announcing their arrival into the category of elite clubs, in my opinion, or like big clubs. With that's come the Champions League. We've done that. With that is the players that we have, and to have them there, we can no longer pay them as Europa Conference League players. It's Champions League again. It's Cup winners players. We have to do it, and all of that encompasses that. And at the moment, obviously, and although our revenue is getting up, we need to be able to bring it even further. So I've put all of that. Hence why I've also said that we're going to have to sell the likes of Longstaff, Barnes, Pope, Willock, and Target, not just because of the transfer fees, but also, as it says at the bottom there, it will take off 25.74 million, estimated, obviously, from my estimations, from our wages. And that money is going to go into, partly going to go into, helping us keep these other bigger players.
Yeah. I feel you're definitely bang on with that, because this is the point where, like, Tottenham have got to this point a few times, but they're not willing to break the wage structure like that. And this is the point that we have to do it, because if we don't do it now, we'll lose the likes of all of these players listed, and probably a couple more, even like Lewis Hall, who from what I know is only on about 10 grand a week because of the contract he's on. So like, we're going to have to be able to give these players the stuff that's in line with the clubs that are going to be sniffing around. Because if we don't give Isak over 200 grand a week, like, Liverpool could come in and go, well, if you push for a move, we could get you and we can put you on 280, 300. And that would turn anybody's head. As much as he might love being here, if someone's offering you 120 grand a week more than what you're already on, what are you going to do as a human being? It's just natural. So we've got to make sure they're on such a good deal that these little increases that clubs are offering don't seem as appealing, because they're loved where they are and they love playing here and they can see where we're going and they know they can get to that wage as long as we keep progressing.
And what I'll add to that is, and you make a fine point, is that it's been 18 months since we bought a first team player, and they've already been through a season where they had no Champions League, and they've stayed with the club and they fought and they got us back into the Champions League. And as Bruno made it very clear, we need to go to another level. He loves the club. He does. We haven't had a better foreign import. I can't think from the top of my head at the moment since Bruno. When Bruno retires, should he ever return to Newcastle, he should never have to buy himself a drink again. They should. Do you know what I mean? But he's saying, and the guy has run 19 miles more than anybody else in the Premier League in terms of distance covered. There's nothing more he can do. There's
19 miles.
Yes, by 19 miles more, he's run more, further than anybody, covered more distance than any other player in the league.
Crazy. In one season, yeah?
In one season. So there's nothing more he can do. That's what I'm saying. Now the club, Eddie's done his job. The players have done their job. We have to.
Yeah.
We have to. What's the word? Pick up or shut up, or what's that? Does it go? Put up or shut up.
Put up or shut up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is it. 100% agree with all of that.
The more I was thinking about the players we're going to bring in, and why we're doing this, why we're doing that, the more my mind casts into these other things and how I would like this season to, and putting up these. When we see these type of renewals, it kind of sees Newcastle announcing themselves. And when I've finally kind of added other stuff up, so for the likes of João Pedro, he's on 50k at Brighton. So I've also guesstimated by essentially, Mitch, I've doubled all the players that we're linked to. Yeah, I've doubled their wages coming to us, right? And put that into the guesstimation. In fact, some of the wages are so low, I doubled it and added 10k because so João Pedro is on 50k at Brighton. I doubled it to 100k. Anthony Elanga is on 35k at Forest. So I've put it up to 70k. I've guessed it. You know, Gay, on 50k. At Palace, I've put him 100k. Trafford is on like 20k.
Yeah, this is very low, isn't it?
Right? Jacob Ramsey, interestingly, Mr. Ramsey is like on 70k at Villa. Villa, crazy, right?
That's why they're in so much trouble, though. They're in a bad place with wages, a very bad place.
Honestly, that's why I feel like this, and we're going to talk about it. It's not just a financial reason, folks, why I think Ramsey's going to get over the line. I we've talked about Ramsey before, but I do think there's a quality player in there, and actually that was further confirmed because I watched the Villa channel as well. And I'll get back to you on that one. I'll bookmark that one, but I'll get your feelings on it as well and your thoughts on it, Mitch, as well. But Ramsey, he's on 70k. I put him on 85. But I wouldn't be surprised if we told him, hey, mate, if you want to play Champions League, 70k for you.
Yeah.
So just the equivalent in terms of wages, Mitch, yeah, of these 5 players alone, on my guesstimations, if we were just to double their wages, which I think we'll have to do, just them alone is 21.58 million. For their wages. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Hence why we have to move on the likes of Sean Longstaff, Harvey Barnes, Pope or Dubravka, Willock, Target, whose wages are 25. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So 5 for 5, we actually make a little bit of money on it per year, which is very good business when you look at it like that.
Exactly. And so we're going to talk about the squad, and so far, like the depth of our squad and what we're doing. So that's why I've assessed, just to quickly kind of summarize that bit, Mitch, is that's why I've kind of guesstimated. If we're going to spend 180 million, we have to sell between 66 to 75 million to keep ourselves in a very healthy PSR situation. But also, it's the wages. Yeah, it's just a wages situation for us to be able to renew the contracts of our big players. You know, Isak, that's going to be the X factor player that we need to keep. He is the spear point of what Newcastle are. Like, even when people are talking about selling the Premier League package across the world, they've got, you know, the likes of Haaland and Salah, and they've always got Isak on that front page in those black and white colors. So when Isak says, give me 250k, you have to give him the 250k, fam. So it's going to be important. It's going to be important in what we're doing. So like I said, and the players that we're going to be bringing in who are on lower wages themselves as well, but they're going to want to play for Newcastle. We've got the Champions League. And just to finally add in terms of our squad depth, going back to it is, so the main rotation that we have, the best current rotation we have is in our midfield currently. So we've got 5 players in our midfield who have played 1,000 minutes or more. So Joe Willock and Longstaff, who I've also put up for sale, as it happens, have been rotating fairly frequently.
Yeah.
And so that needs to have some replacement. I think Ramsey and a little bit of Pedro are going to be able to help that. But Miley has to step up, and he will. I think it's going to be so pivotal. We're going to be talking about a style of play. And exactly what you mentioned, I think Miley is going to be even more pivotal in this year as well. And we also have to reduce our age range. So what you'll see in our team is that the players that are the players that playing between 900 to 1,400 minutes are 23 years old. The players that are playing the most minutes, so between 2,900 to 3,400 minutes, are 24 years old, which isn't bad. But the guys that are the top, like playing, I think up to 3,400 minutes, are like the average age there is, the guys playing between 2,900 and 3,400 minutes are like 31 years old. So Dan Burn, Shaw, I forgot the other ones, but we've got Bruno, Dan Burn, Shaw, and there's a fourth one.
Trippier.
They're all. Say it again?
Would that be Trippier? Oh, no, Trippier hasn't played enough minutes.
Trippier's like on 1,500 minutes. But the main point is they need to be rotated. But so if you add all of those up, so, and partly, and kind of I mentioned this, is that, so the players that have played, so we've had 15 players who have played 1,000 minutes and more. So 1,000 minutes is my arbitrary number because it covers about 10 to 11 games. if you have them as like 90-minute games, but obviously kind of I'm thinking about rotation as well as starting and stuff like that. So that's just my kind of line. And 15 players have played that this season. And one of them is a goalkeeper. So our squad is thin. But part of the reason for that is Sven Botman's been injured. I think if Sven Botman comes back, that goes to 16. And my other one is Miley. So Miley hasn't been used as much. And I'm expecting for him to be used a lot more in this coming season. So that will probably, hopefully push up to 17.
Yeah.
But we will, my thinking is that we will sell Barnes. We will sell, let me find the next one. We'll sell Barnes. We will sell Barnes. We will sell Longstaff. We will sell Willock. And those are the three players that are quite big. And even Pope in terms of our depth. So that's our depth already gone, right? So that 15 players will turn to 11. And then you got Sven Botman back. Then you got Miley back. That'll turn to 13. Hence why we're going for another 5 players to raise up the rotation of our players back to 18, somewhere around 18, 19.
Yeah, because you could potentially throw Willa Sula in there as well.
Well, exactly. But because I was going to actually touch on that, because I think that's why we're renegotiating Callum Wilson's contract. We're keeping that one quiet. I think this is part of the reason why I think the main thing is going to be the rotation is going to be between Pedro and Isak. To get Callum Wilson as a third striker and to allow Willa Solo to go somewhere, maybe a Burnley, we're talking to Burnley, maybe a Palace, one of the players that teams we're talking to get him regular time and minutes there. Hopefully he gets 20 GA and we're like, oh, this is really great. And oh, he's our player. Come back.
Yeah.
That's the thinking behind it. So that's why I've seen people like crying. I can't believe Wilson. And I'm like, it's not about Wilson. For me, it's about Osola. That's how I'm looking at it. It's not about Wilson. It's about Osola.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's where I'm coming at it at the moment, Mitch. I don't know what your thoughts are in it so far.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And I think that last point is why they've probably crushed the Calvert-Lewin talks now, because they feel that Wilson is going to be that third guy who could play through the middle. And I always saw the Calvert-Lewin thing as something that if we lose Wilson and we need someone to come in to potentially play a very minimal amount of minutes at a low risk, quite high reward type of thing, it would have been a Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And
the wages.
Yes.
Mr. DCL, Mr. Calvert-Lewin demand 100K. We're like, no.
Yeah, madness, isn't it?
The 100K is going to Mr. Isak.
Yeah.
So people need to stop crying about. For me, people can do what they want, but for me, Wilson is important jigsaw to this. We need Wilson to say yes to this contract because he's important for Sulla, and in my view, he's important for Isak.
Yeah, because it's low basic, higher incentivized, isn't it? The one they've offered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? He's taking one for the team here. Like we have to do this, right? And so that's why I've got them there. I want to keep Trippier. I think Hal wants to keep Trippier, but I've always got this constant feeling that he wants to go. But we don't have to sell him. I think Barnes, Longstaff have been highly talked about. Wilson. It's between Pope and Dubravka, but I keep on seeing Pope being linked to Leeds and stuff like that. Target's been mentioned with Crystal Palace today. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, like as going back to, I'm like, well, remember Mitchell for Palace, his contract's run out and he's not renewing. I wonder if he's coming to us, to be honest. But that's this. But I think that's what they're looking at Target.
That's weird that they haven't renewed Mitchell's contract. I always thought he was a really solid, like, Premier League fullback.
I have a sneaky suspicion he'll come to us.
I'd quite like that. I'd quite like that. I wouldn't have any problems with that whatsoever.
Because if you're Lewis Hall, imagine Newcastle are playing away at the Bernabeu on Wednesday. So say the previous Saturday we played a home game against Chelsea. Then we're going on Wednesday to the Bernabeu. By the next Saturday or Sunday, and Lewis Hall, for instance, we're talking about Lewis Hall because it's on the left side.
Yeah,
he needs. Then he needs rotation, and I think we're playing away a Sunday to Brentford. Just put Mitchell in the left back.
Mitchell in there, yeah, 100%.
Just keep it going. Solid left back,
Solid left back, bags of energy. Yeah. If he comes in on the free, I'd be very happy with that bit of business.
Honestly, so that'll be my initial. That'll make me very happy. But we'll see what happens there. So that's my initial thoughts. If people are saying like, we want to keep Barnes, we want to keep this, I just think if you want, number one is have enough money to keep Isak and to renew the big players' contracts, we're gonna have to be aggressive in ourselves, in my opinion. And so that's my overall take in terms of the players that we want to bring in, and obviously we've got them up here, and that is going to leave some gaps in our squad. I've got it here. Obviously, Pedro Langa coming in with Barnes, and obviously we're looking. Obviously, Almiron's already been sold, so Langa and Pedro coming in. I got Osola and Leave. That's just to say to loan out. That'll be the idea. And to me, I don't know what your thoughts are, Mitch. For me, again, this is why this is us stepping up into big club territory. Because if we bring Pedro and the Langa in, yes, we're covering that first team place. Keeping Wilson, allowing Osola to go low now, it just keeps the rotation and the depth and the quality of our front line going. Liverpool have 7-8 players in the front line for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, they've got a bag load of front players in their front line. It's crazy, their depth, to be fair.
So, again, it goes back to why I don't. So these deals are important. Midfield area, we're going to talk about a little bit. Again, I've got obviously Willock and Longstaff to go on. Hayden, well, he's been gone for 2 years, 2-3 years. But Willock, Longstaff, and we'll leave those two gaps there. Miley will step up, and hence why we're looking at Ramsey. What's your kind of immediate thoughts on Ramsey, Mitch? And I'm going to go to the chats in a moment, and I know there's a few people that are talking about Ramsey and why I think we're gonna keep Ramsey, in my opinion, as well.
He's probably the one on this list that I'm most not that keen on, but I think it's more because I haven't really seen enough of him. So I'm not 100% sure what he's going to bring. And if he's going to come and he's going to want to be like the backup to Joe Linton or the rotation for Joe Linton, I've just never seen that kind of player in him. I think we need a slightly different profile to it. I don't think he's got the energy for it, and I don't think he ups the creativity side of the game enough to have the drop off for what Joe Linton does on the defensive side of the game. That's my only worry with Ramsey.
Yeah, and I think a few folks have mentioned that. We did a show on Ramsey, and I'll go to the chat in a moment. He's played with Gordon in it for England. I think that's a big reason why we're looking at him, profiles and the partnerships. So when they play together, Mitchell's the number 8, and obviously Gordon's on the left wing forward position, and they play really, really well together. And when I was listening to the Aston Villa channel, they've confirmed what I initially thought, which is that what he himself is, how he describes himself as a box-to-box goal-scoring midfielder.
Okay.
He keeps on getting played on the left. He's not a left winger. He's not a winger. He's a midfielder. And they said it on the channel, and they said, I see why Newcastle are going for it. He's not a winger. He is a midfielder. And the key part of what he has, and the two issues that Newcastle have had is goal efficiency, which is obviously kind of essentially we create goals, but we can score a little bit more than what we have done. Hence why we've been linked to another striker and stuff like that. But also an offensive impact from our midfield, and what that essentially means is players who can provide progressive passes, key passes, and through balls. Which, guess what? Mr. Ramsey really loves doing. Mr. Ramsey doesn't like to do what Gordon likes to do, which is to be the end product, the guy that gets the assists and goals. He wants to be the guy before that, hence why they play so well at England. So the reason why I think Gordon struggled like in the final part of the year is that he didn't really have a number. You see Gordon and Isak making these runs all the time, and there's no one making these through balls to them. Both Ramsey and especially Mr. Pedro, who we're going to be talking about, are very good at those type of players. So they both are going to add those offensive impacts from our midfield areas, and particularly Ramsey. Hence why we're looking at him. Hence why the other end, Villa, have obviously Rodgers and they have Ramsey, but Rodgers is the better left midfield 8, right? Although he can play on the wing. So they're thinking, can we have Barnes please to play left wing forward and Rodgers as a left wing 8? And you can have Ramsey. And there's like, I can't remember it now, but there is a potential where we do that kind of swap and we add like another 20, 25 million from our PSR from that. Don't ask me how. AI worked that out. So that's why it makes so much sense for Newcastle, even from a wage point of view. So Harvey Barnes has a higher wage in compared to Ramsey. Why Villa want to take that on is up to them. But it works out for us. So it's that midfield area, that midfield pivot area. And we're going to talk a bit more about that because obviously taking away Willock, taking away Mr. Longstaff, we need more midfielders, obviously. We need more midfield cover. And that's where I think Mr. Ramsey will come in. So, and as Ramsey described himself, so his idol, for instance, is, or player that he looks to, that he tries to get is, I'm not saying that he's not saying he's like this player, but he would like to play like this player. In his own interview, said he likes Lampard. So he kind of puts his profile to that way. He didn't say Rodrigo or whoever plays on the left. He said Lampard, a goal scoring 8. So hence why he wants to go to Newcastle so much, because again, Eddie Howe loves to play players in the positions they want to play in and do the thing. And they've played, like I said, he's played together with Gordon in England. So he's got that partnership already. Gordon wants to score and create assists, and Ramsey wants to provide for the likes of Gordon. Ramsey doesn't want to be the guy that scores the goals necessarily, though he feels more free to when there's somebody else taking that responsibility. So Gordon doesn't really like to drop in deep and collect the ball. Ramsey does. So I think that's why I think we're looking for. But there's a few folks in the chat. We'll see what the folks are saying. Oh, I think I missed there. Sophie B. Mitchell said big signings before he goes off. You read the room. Oh yeah, I saw Sophie said, you said something about, so let me know what you think about this, Mitch, because Sophie said that she thinks that who was it? You said it was a smoke screen, Sophie. I've got your comment starred up here.
She reckons João Pedro was a smoke screen, I think it was, and she said Akliouche. I'm pretty sure that's what I saw earlier.
That's it, yeah. That's exactly it. So I have a question. I don't think Pedro's coming. This is a smoke screen. I don't know if you say it late in the chat, but I'd love to know why you think that, Sophie. I would love to know why you think that. I don't mind Akliouche. But yeah, like if he is, I would love to know how you think that. Mitchell said big signing before he goes. If you read the room, possibly though. I find it hard to believe that Eddie Howe and the recruitment team are listening to anything that Mr. Mitchell's saying in his final hours at Newcastle United. It's like when like a teacher just leaving and stuff like that. No one's listening to
you just start playing up, don't you? Every time they talk, you're just like, it doesn't matter. You won't be here in a couple of weeks.
That's my kind of feeling on it. So if the price is too high for Trafford, we are going for Chevalier. Possibly, though I think, speaking of smoke screens, I think that's a smoke screen from Newcastle. I think we've focused, the players that we've looked at, Ramsey, they're all long-term targets. Ramsey, Trafford, Elanga, Guehi, Pedro, 3 years in the making, Pedro. These are all like from 3 to 4 years players that we'll be looking at. So I'll be a bit surprised, but possibly. Smokey's niche, frustrating every transfer window, haggling over 30 million for Trafford. I forgot what SMH means. What does SMH mean?
Shake my head.
All right, you can see I'm old. Well, Smokey, let me know. Like this is why I feel like we are negotiating and we're haggling because of we need to we need to have the funds to renew big player contracts and to bring in the new players in. I don't think it's so much of, for me personally, I don't think it's the fee so much. Like they can't pay it. I think they're thinking about how to cover the overall wage bill that's going to come in to help them pay that. I think that's the main focus.
Yeah.
Like our owners aren't losing sleep over £30 million. They lose £30 million in a day and then make £100 million that week. Like, right. So that's my main thing about. I think that's the reason why they're haggling over it. Even Chelsea, like they've just rejected getting Mike Semenyo on, and they're saying, "How can he be for £10 million?" Even clubs with higher revenue than us have to worry about their wage bills.
All clubs will do the same thing. It's pointless just go into a club and going, "How much do you want?" And they go, "Right, we want this," and you just go, "Yep."
Right. So the next one's going to say,
nowhere like that. Yeah,
exactly. The next one's going to say, "Oh, you're willing to pay 10 million over it? Okay. How about 20 million over the top?" Like, you know,
and
so
just keep ramping it up. Every time you go back, they'll go, "Right, we'll add another little couple percent on. See what they say this time." Yep, we'll
exactly.
take it. You can't run a business
this is
like
the
that.
debates I keep on having with the guys, and for instance, the Mbemo thing. We offered 40 million. Man United just said, "Hey, we'll give you 50 million and more." Now Brentford are saying 50 million. How? Come on, if you're going to do 50 million, you might as well do 60 million. Now, if Man United go to another team and they've witnessed that team's going to be like, "Well, you're willing to pay 15, 20 million over the market price."
Yeah.
They've seen us walk away from a top target. Any team that we're approaching now, whether it's Forest for Elanga, Brighton for Pedro, will know that these guys will walk away.
Yeah,
they will
be serious. Let's have a serious conversation, or you can talk to yourself, basically.
Right, exactly. But there will be a club that will say, "Oh, we'll take the money." So, I think it pays to be there. Adrian Pickett, it's nice to get some Gaelic flair back in the squad. Actually, and you know what? I really like the player, to be honest, as well. Got my things off here. Let me get back. Sophie B. Graham Bailey knows nothing. I hope he knows nothing too. Isak's been offered 225 initial offer, I have heard. Is it? Let me know the source, Sophie. I'd love to know that. Is Graham Bailey the Madueke on the tree? Sheesh. Big up Adrian. Sophie B, there's been 3 transfers. Graham Bailey has gone. It's the Madueke on transfers. Agree. It feels like a moment we need to level up. It is, Adrian. You're right. Jam Stasher, good to see you. God bless you, sir. Oh, folks, please do remember to like, share, and subscribe. I keep on forgetting. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Whenever I do remind you guys, though, the likes really do shoot up. We've had this week. We've had 17 new subscribers as well. So you guys did fantastic in sharing, in sharing it, and people are subscribing. So please do continue to like, share, and subscribe, folks. It's having an impact, and we've even got 27 people watching live now, and the chat is through the roof as well. So please do continue liking, sharing, subscribing. It's really, really having an impact. Jam Stasher, I thought Diomande was the dual young centre back to get a few years ago. Yeah, now we can't afford him, and Palace are after him. Nothing makes sense to me anymore. Mitch, what's your thought? My initial thoughts, just quickly, is on any player from the Portuguese league. I say any player. You know what? Yeah, any player from the Portuguese league. You have to remember this: Opta analysts don't even include the Portuguese league when they only include the 5 top because they feel like that league is so low, and they include the championship. I think they include the championship. They don't cover. That's how low they think of the Portuguese league. So in my thoughts initially is that Newcastle, for instance, aren't willing to, and other clubs like Diamante, there isn't like, Chelsea's and Liverpool's, and they're not swarming for this guy. Not because he's not good. Yeah.
It's too much of a risk. All the teams at the top there, it is way too much of a risk. Because if you're bringing him in for big money, he's going to have to play football. And if he doesn't cut it in a much more physical league with a lot more talent across the board, then you've just wasted your money. So people are just going for the try and test it. I like the way we go about things with we're going for a Gahey because we know exactly what he can do in the Premier League. We could go for a Diamande and everybody would be delighted because he's a highly thought of name, but it might fail. There's a lot of things that could fail with a Diamande transfer. And I completely understand that from the club because we're not in a position to waste any money. We need to make sure that like 95% of what we do is a hit.
And if you're the owner, even if you've got your reservations, you're looking at the track record for Howe and the players, and you're like, I can't argue with this guy. Like, I can't. Like, the track record, it speaks for itself. So we are where we are. Sophie B. So Newcastle, by my understanding, have 43 PSR value to spend before June the 30th. Then July 73 drops off. Yes, I can't remember the exact amount, but the previous cycle does drop off. Yeah, and I think we go down to like we're like only. I saw Sean Casey talking about it as well. We're like 67 million from the threshold, which puts us in a very, put it this way, in a very, very, very healthy position.
Yeah.
And that's still players that we haven't sold yet. So we are in a very healthy position, and we want to keep it that way. Exactly. Kim Cam, evening to you. God bless you. Sophie B, I think you're around my maths as well, to be honest, Philip. Oh, good. I always worry whenever I'm putting him up, Mitch, because I'm not like I said, armchair accountant here. I'm like, sheesh, bro. I should be talking about it. But ever since we went into position, we've had 3 transfer windows of not buying any first team players. I'm like, I have to understand to understand.
Got to try and figure out what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hence why a Wilson thing signing makes sense to me. I'm not saying he's going to break, he's going to win us the FA Cup, but he's going to, like what I said, he's going to be a small cog that gets us to be able to increase to the wage demands of an Isak, for me, in my opinion. Sophie B, I think you're around. Yeah, sorry, I read that one. Bobby Fairview, good to see you, sir. We've got a big program coming up this Thursday. Me and Bobby Fairview, just to give advertise, guys, we've got a big show on Thursday with Bobby Fairview. We're going to be delving even deeper into Chelsea's accounts and talking about Newcastle as well, figuring out, is it a Ponzi scheme or is it a Champions League winning formula to get to the top? I know where Bobby Fairview's on that, but I'm just pulling your leg, Bobby. But it's going to be a fantastic show. And Bobby, you're going to laugh. If you like the previous thumbnail, you're going to love the new one that's coming up as well. Bless up, Philip and Mitch. Big up the chat. Hope that everyone is doing well. We are indeed. A few more. I'll do a few more chats and I'll get back to it. Kim Cam, you cannot escape higher wages if you want to play in the Champions League regularly. Absolutely. Yep. What so-called top 6 have the highest wage bills exactly? We've been punching our wage like the 8th and 9th in the Premier League, and it's because of Eddie Howe that we're in the choices and everything else. Like, we have to match these guys' wages.
We're in and about West Ham when it comes to wages paid. It's crazy how well we do.
It's insane. It's insane. I know there's tons more chats. I'm going to read one more, but I'm going to get back to it as well, folks. But do keep them there. I'm going to make sure we star a few as well. But Aaron Kainth, with the targets we are linked with PSR issues is inevitable. Why buy Gahey for 50, 60 million? 1 year left on his deal. Better players there for less. Ramsey's 30 mil. Kamara is better for less. For me, again, and good. It's 2 things. One thing that Mitch mentioned, which is that I think it's just such a low risk from Gahey. Gahey's literally plug and play. He's not going to be shocked when he turns up at Newcastle or playing in the Premier League. I almost expect him to start an opening game of the season. That's how much of a guarantee he is.
Both systems as well can play back 3, back 4. We know he can do both the 2 systems we play at the back there. There's literally hardly anything we need to worry about with him coming in. He can play left, he can play right. Like, it's one of the best centre backs we could get to fill in with what we want to do back there.
Exactly, and his leadership style and again, for me, it's not even so much the transfer fee, because even with the contract, it'd be a 5-year contract, the amortization, everything else, it's the wages. The guy's on 50K. Like, we put him up to 100K, if that. And
captain as well. Captain of Palace.
He's captain. He's just won the FA. When Eddie Howe was having this argument with Mitchell last summer about pay the money for this guy, and Mitchell was saying, no, let's get to Debo, right? And then Howe said, okay, fine. I'm not getting to Debo, but I'm not going to argue with you. What happens that season with Palace? He goes and wins the FA Cup. He's the first captain of Crystal Palace to win the FA Cup. And I bet when they were watching this on TV with the Newcastle owners, Jamie Rubin was there, PIF was there, and they were all looking at Mitchell saying, is that Gahey? Is that the guy that we were chasing last summer? Raw.
Eddie Howe sat at the other end of the table, cracking open a beer. He's like, shh. Not even saying a word. Feet up, cigar on the go. Like, I told you guys. Come on.
It's like, I'm just too good, man. I'm too good.
But Tadibo is the perfect example of what I'm saying about too many variables you don't know. Because there was like loads of clubs wanted him, loads of talk was around him. He was meant to be amazing, and he barely gets through 90 minutes for West Ham. He's not been good at all.
At all.
And that's the unknown you walk into with some of these players, because no one would have thought he would have been as bad as he has been since he's come over.
Exactly. The only reason, for instance, another example why Minte made sense for us. So his stats, raw stats, were through the roof, but he's such a raw player. Yeah. And we loaned him out, but we already had Murphy on the right wing. So when Minte was going to come in, we already had someone there that he could be an understudy to come along. So it made sense for us. But you can take that. But we paid 7 million for Minte. We can't pay 50 million for Minte or 30 million. Even 30 million could hurt us.
Yeah.
And we can't get rid of these guys. So yeah. Anyway. So gaps in the midfield. Well, I think we're gonna get back to Ramsey a little bit as well, and talk about him a little bit more, because I think as well folks are mentioning why Ramsey and not Kamara. You never know. You can still get Kamara. You never know. Speaking of our defense, Mitch, and this we've got a little bit more gaps ish. So my initial thought is that, let me go to the front here. So Botman. So we've got obviously Gahey comes in. So let me take this off. If I delete this, can you see the screen? Yeah. So Mr. Gahey comes in here, and our front line, which would be amazing. Someone mentioned this earlier today. Our back line, excuse me. Hall left back, Botman left centre back, Gahey right centre back, Livramento right back. I love that, by the way. Yeah. And someone mentioned that this could be the England lineup, back line, including Trafford, actually. So we could have Hall.
Apart from Botman.
Apart from Botman, obviously. Apart from Botman. But it would be absolutely... Could you ever imagine when we were playing under Ashley, if somebody would tell us one day, do you know, in 3-4 years' time, you'd have like 3 or 4 of your defenders in England's starting 11.
You could even... Burn started the other day, so even he could play.
Right.
So that could be the go full back five.
It could be the full, and I'll be coming on the show saying, well, this is courtesy of Newcastle United. You're all welcome. You're all welcome,
yeah.
You're all welcome, England fans. But hopefully Gahey comes in. Gahey and Botman as our 2 main centre backs, with obviously Hall and Livramento. I got Kraft as for Livramento, Shaw for providing depth for Gahey, Burn providing depth for Botman. Now the left back area, and obviously Jamal Lascelles, who we're renewing the contract for, folks, as well. Which leads me to think, and this again makes sense. Do you remember that we've had this young Moroccan kid that we were linked with? I haven't seen him, but he was linked to the last couple of days. Usman something. I don't know if folks remember. He's a Moroccan kid for 20 years old or 19 years old from Ajax or someone we're linked with. So again, I think this is a kid that we're going to probably buy in and loan out. And you can do that when you've got a Lascelles who's willing to take a lower contract, if that makes sense, right? This is the whole idea behind it. Anyway, because I can't remember his name, there's no point in that. But essentially, the same reason why we're renewing the contract for Mr. Wilson is the reason why we're renewing Lascelles' contract, is what I'm saying. I think we're bringing another project centre back in as well. The left back area is the little bit area that worries me. Not worries me, but we've got Alex Murphy who's coming back from his loan out in Bolton. I don't know how good he is, so I'm not going to comment on him too much. But I've put him there as a potential who could be rotating with Hall. But obviously, I think how I might go. If Mitchell's available, for instance, from Palace, I think he'd take that. But I've got him there, so there's a little bit of a gap there. What's your overall thoughts in terms of our depth and the centre back area?
I quite like the look of that, to be fair. I don't mind that at all, because even if we go to a 3, you've still got a couple that you could have on the bench just in case.
Yeah.
It is that spot, like you were saying, at the left back that's a little bit of worry, because Alex Murphy was on loan at Bolton this season, and one of the guys who's on my show on Sunday is a Bolton fan, and he's not been that sold on him in League One. So I think he's miles off from actually being an option for us, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't ever want to see them shift down Burn out there again. I don't ever want to see that again.
Personally, I hope Alex Murphy's a hit.
Same.
We need more academy. Like, I've done episodes when we looked at Liverpool's squad. They've got 6 or 7 academy players in their actual squad that play more than like are significant players in their team. Like, if you're going to be a sustainable, successful team, it's not just like every year 100 million, 200 million. When people hear like sporting directors saying, "Oh, if I want to spend as much less money as possible," they think it's because to put the money into the owner's hands, which for some clubs is the truth. But I think sustainable success and an indicator that your club has turned into an actual institution is when you've got academy players coming in like that. Because I love to see Alex Murphy. I love to see Lewis Miley succeed. I think that's what we're going to see as well. So I hope he's successful in my personal opinion. So that's the little bit of a rundown here in terms of where we're kind of heading to, in terms of what I think the team's heading to. We need to. I think we're going to spend, hopefully, if we're going to bring in 5 players, that we talked about, we're not spend about 180 million pounds. If we're going to be able to offer Mr. Isak 250k and a few other the big hitters in our team more money, we have to sell players. We have to sell about 6 or 7 players. We have to make about between 60 to 70 million pounds in sales. So it's the fees, but also we'll take off about 25 million pound in wages in order to bring in the new players, but also upgrade the contracts that we have now. So that's why this period is so intensive. It's so important for Newcastle in order to bring all of this home. But what is all of that going to do for our? Were you going to say something, Mitch?
No. I was just going to say that Moroccan centre back you were talking about, is that Abdul Hamid Al 8?
That's it.
That's it. Yeah,
that's it.
Well, I know anything about him, but linked with us and Liverpool apparently.
Well, I won't lie. Wherever Liverpool are linked, I'm like, okay, so this is the player to get, right?
Yeah. And it's good to actually be linked with the players, like some of the young players these clubs are going for, and you don't look at it and then you just think, yeah, we're not getting him. You're like,
right?
Yeah.
But also, when we're talking to him, we can say to him, mate, Lewis Hall is 18, 19 years old. Livramento, 20, 19 years old. When we're saying there's a direct path into our team, we're not lying. Like, if you're good enough, you will play for Newcastle United.
Yeah.
Like, we are attractive in that way. Hence why you renew the contracts of your Lascelles. You renew the contracts of your Wilsons so Solo can go out on loan.
Yeah.
This is, I think, because we've been living in relegation dogfights for so long, we don't.
Yeah, we've been trying to play chess with half the pieces for all these years, and now we're trying to play 4D chess, and no one understands what's going on. It's like, what are all these aspects of the game? I've never seen this before.
Honestly, so that's where we're coming from. So we're going to talk about playing style in a moment, and I'm quite excited about this, Mitch, because a lot of this we're going to get into a moment. We're going to read a few more of the chats, but I'm quite excited about it because I feel like our style and what we're going to do is going to evolve, and I like how and I think it's going to go back. Anyway, I'll go into about. We'll read a few more chats, but I'm quite excited about where we're heading to through the players that we're linked to. Team season, good to see you, sir. God bless you. So, Philip, where's the players who know how to win the Champions League? You know the real revenue, Eddie Howe doesn't have the know-how, and you know it. So having few players to help is basic need.
We're not really there yet to be buying players that know how to win the Champions League.
I agree. And I know what you're saying. I know team season, you want the team to grow and to have experience, but in the squad that we have now, we have a team now that's been to 2 finals, has won a cup competition, has qualified twice for the Champions League, and I'll throw in there that we fought off relegation when nobody thought that we would do.
Yeah.
In that squad is already experienced. Not to mention a La Liga winner in Kieran Trippier, Ligue 1 winner in Sven Botman, a La Liga winner in Kieran Trippier, and an FA Cup winner now in Mr. Well, I say now, but hopefully one day in Mr. Gahey. So it depends. I think we're growing into that team as well. I really do. Dean Holder, God bless you, sir. Good to see you. Breaking, Crystal Palace could be willing to include NUFC defender. So yes, defender target in a player plus cash deal, which would bring long-term target Mark Gay. I'd be so surprised if they go for that. Maybe because my ratings for target have gone so low. I'd be so surprised. But needs must. I'll be more than happy for that, honestly.
I still think there's a very good Premier League left back in there. I just don't think it's for us with Matt Target.
Yeah, I agree. It would be very good business for us, though.
Yeah.
Team season, 37 games, 1 goal, 2 assisted, and he's 6 tries for a Villa. Bad signing. Oh, is that for Ramsey?
Yeah, it must be.
So when I was watching,
but that falls into what you said, though, doesn't it? He's not the goals. He's not the assists. He's the guy he breaks the line to create the assist.
Precisely. Provides the offensive impact. Is different to Joe Linton in that way. Joe Linton's a very good ball carrier. And actually also we don't miss out. So it's not that you've got a creative guy who can't defend. Ramsey can defend. He tracks back, he runs back, he's got excellent ball recovery and excellent ball retention. We don't have too many of those midfielders, right? So you're not losing your defensive discipline with it, but you keep some of it, and you're able to add more with the through balls and passes able to give. Gordon does not want to drop back to pick up the ball no more. Like he's I don't know if you guys can tell. Like he's had enough of that. How he was dispossessed against Arsenal when we lost there was him getting dispossessed in our part. He does not want. Grealish loves that dude getting the ball there. Ramsey doesn't mind getting the ball there. Please, Gordon wants to be on the other end, chasing the ball. Yeah. That's why he loved Lewis Hall so much. He loved Lewis Hall. Even Bruno Gomes loved Lewis Hall because I don't know how many match reviews I've had where Lewis Hall has got more touches than Bruno Gomes. The impact of this guy is so important that people have forgotten that part. And I haven't seen it yet, but I'd love to know where if it is the case that Mr. Gordon's form dipped when Lewis Hall went off of an injury. From my point of view,
that wouldn't surprise me at all. I played with a left back who was a little bit like Lewis Hall, and for years I'm used to left backs going down the line, and I've always played in centre mid. And this guy came in, and pretty much every time I called for the ball, he found my feet. And for the first couple of games, it just threw me off because I weren't used to it. So Bruno's probably sat in that kind of position. It's fantastic to have a player that does that, to be fair. And just on Ramsey, before we move on, I think people need to realise that there's 2 different types of signing we need to be looking at in this window. There's a couple that will raise the ceiling, which will be your João Pedros, and it will be your Anthony Elangas and players like that, and your Gaheys. But we also need to raise the floor in a few positions, just to bring the drop-off once one of the first team guys is out, to close the gap between the next one down. So it's not always about just improving the first team, Sometimes you've just got to bring the floor up slightly, and it makes us a much better squad. And that's what we need to do.
That's excellent. What I'll add to that is, had it not been for PSR, this squad would have been made 18 months ago.
Yeah.
We're 18 months late. Right? So it's just the magic of Eddie Howe. It's the reason, if we were able to do that, maybe you'll get your Champions League ready players in now. Yeah. It's just that we're 18 months late. That's, delayed. But I love the journey anyway. So I'll do a couple more chats and I'll go back to, because we're going to talk about the playing style, because we're getting into that as well. I would really love to get Mitch's take on it and the chat. And folks, do remember to like, share, and subscribe. You're doing absolutely fabulously on that as well. A lot of people coming to view the channel as well. Please do like and join the chat. If you guys are new to the channel, you haven't seen it before, feel free to send in your views. Tell me like, yo, how can you think Ramsey's good? Like, or like, just let me know. Let me know. Ramsey. Speaking of Ramsey, Aaron Kane. Ramsey's a tiny upgrade on Willock, but that's not enough for me. We need someone technically better for me. And his injury record isn't great. Imagine him in our system. That's just not good. Well, let's talk about because we're talking about the system, we're talking about players. Because I don't necessarily think, and we'll get into it now, that Ramsey is strictly a replacement for Willock or Joe Linton. But we'll get into it. So, a couple things. Can you see the screen there, Mitch?
Yeah.
So I've kind of played about with how the starting lineup could work based on, because we're gonna this is a little bit based on my thoughts, but also I don't know if you folks watched Antonio Mango's take on how Newcastle's playing style could develop, and he kind of focused more on João Pedro. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about in a moment is based from his show, and once I get the show, once I upload this. Well, it's going to be uploaded. Once I'll put it in the description. It was a fantastic tactical analysis and how the team could evolve. So, but it's really, really good. So 4-2-3-1 is one of the ways we can play, because I think that, and I agree with Antonio, is that João Pedro is probably the number 10 that we've been looking for a very long time. Because I don't know if you remember, Mitch, when we were looking for Maddison.
Yeah.
That was a big thing that we wanted. And I think João Pedro is doing that Maddison role. And there's different reasons why we're gonna go into it, into the strengths of it. But just momentarily, I got Trafford in the goalkeeper in the back there, Botman and Gahey, Livramento, Hall. In midfield of a pivot, Bruno and Tonali, with Lewis Miley as the understudy to Bruno. And I think Miley in that role, I don't know what your thought is, just while we're on there, because you mentioned it, Mitch. I feel Miley in that pivot role, that's where you're going to see the best of Miley.
Yeah, 100%. In this formation, that's definitely the replacement I see for him. I genuinely believe Lewis Miley's ceiling is crazy. If he progresses the way I feel he's going to progress, I think we could see an absolutely exceptional player coming through the ranks here. There was talks of him moving on earlier in the summer, and if that happens, I'd be absolutely gutted, because I genuinely, from the very first time I saw him, I think it was Chelsea.
Yeah.
The preseason before.
Yeah.
He's got this thing about him as a player that not many players have, and it's not an attribute when you've got it's not an attribute that you can put a stat to. It's that when he gets the ball, everything else around him seems to slow down. And it's just it's a gift that just only some players have, and he has it, and it's special.
I think it's Palace that approached us for him, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think they're looking at it like, if someone comes in with big money for Adam Wharton, that's the next guy.
I think Liverpool are looking at Wharton.
Yeah. And we can't let that happen. If it's a loan, great. Fantastic. But we have to bring in a replacement. We cannot sell Lewis Miley for me.
I agree. And especially if you've got the likes of Gahey just behind them, Livramento running the channels, Ilanga of the speed, Mr. Pedro in the number 10 role, where he's got the flexibility of dropping in deep, all of a sudden his passing options open up, as they will for Bruno and others as well. So we've got the flexibility of playing a 4-2-3-1, or even going into which again, just even that 4-4-2-3-1, by the way, going back to it, got Tonali, Joe Linton. But again, Ramsey can play in that role just behind Gordon as well. So go on there, Mitch.
No, I was just saying, okay. I was just agreeing.
Yeah.
Could Ramsey do the João Pedro role as well in that system?
He made his bones as an attacking midfielder, yes.
Okay.
When he was in the academy.
Nice. The only other thing I would comment on this as well, in that same thing. So actually, no, finish what you're saying, because I'm
No, go on. That was it.
What I was going to say is the João Pedro and Isak thing makes us more versatile as well, because they can also rotate. Isak does that with Gyökeres at Sweden, and I love watching him play for Sweden. As much as I don't want him to drop out of as our 9 permanently, the way he plays for Sweden is exceptional.
Isak.
Isak, yeah. So if João Pedro goes beyond and Isak plays behind for moments in the game, it's a whole different aspect that people have got to deal with.
Honestly, exactly. And I think Eddie Howe's looking at that as well. And then our traditional 4-3-3, where Ramsey gets to be in that left 8 position next to his man Gordon, who they played in England together. I see them thriving in that. And obviously Hall just in behind.
Yeah.
Mr. Botman as well. So all of a sudden that left-handed that side of is a lot more stronger. The right side as well, obviously Elanga on the right, Bruno, Livramento, Gahey. For me, there's like an overall, like for me, just like as a whole, it feels stronger.
Yeah.
In quality and everything else.
And I love how you've now switched Miley to the backup for Tonali rather than Bruno in this system.
Right.
That's exactly how I see it as well.
Right. This is do you know what I mean? So now this is why I think that Miley's minutes will pick up. I know that's a big thing for him, and that's what happened in the links to Palace. He just wants to play. And I think this is what I think partly is what Howard's telling him is you're gonna play. Yeah. Like, just stick with us on this. Like, you are gonna play. You are the heir apparent. But you know, stick. I'll be like you, Mitch. I'll be gutted. I'll be fully gutted that if we're hopefully if it is a loan. Goodness gracious, I hope it's a loan. If he has to go, would have to get another midfielder in. People want Kamara. I suspect, and I've got no evidence to prove this, we might go for a Mateus Nunes from City.
Okay.
Type of player because he can play everywhere. But that's just my own funny take on it. But anyway, so 4-2-3-1 as well as 4-3-3 allows that flexibility. Now going to Mr. Antonio Mango show, and he talks about the playing style. And Mitch, chat, jump in on this as well. Let me know what your thoughts are. So initially, can you see it clearly there?
Yep, perfect.
Yeah. So let me zoom in a little bit more if I can. Yeah, right. So initially, it talked about how we traditionally play in our 4-3-3. You can see, obviously, Gordon, Isak, Murphy at the front, Joe Linton, Tonali, Bruno, Hall, Burn, Botman. Oh, not Botman. It should be Shaw, but fine. Botman, Tino, and Pope. In that 4-3-3, that's served us well and everything that we're doing. And essentially, when we do attack, for instance, you can see, if you guys look on the left, Hall, for instance, will spring up and allows Gordon to shift inside next to Isak. This is when Gordon was like a pig in mud. He was so happy, right? So this is where he's so happy. The likes of Ramsey aren't overly happy being in those positions, right? But Mr. Gordon is. He wants to be right there playing, and to be able to join up. This is why Hall was so important. And while Hall was happy because Joe Linton, with his defensive discipline, was able to cover that left side, right? So if we were hit on the transition, Mr. Joe Linton's there to cover it. And Bruno, you can see him also jumping in the gaps between Isak and Murphy, filling the other gap. And Tonali is able to cover the other ground, right? So between Joe Linton and Tonali, so as Antonio Mango mentioned, a lot of teams like to be able to do this, have 5 players who are able to attack and 5 players who are able to defend. So you'll have Joe Linton, Tonali, screen the back 3 line, where it's Botman, Burn, and Tino, whilst the rest are able to go up and to attack. And this is when Newcastle really, if you guys remember the Liverpool game, for instance, when we drew 3-3, this is where we really were. This is like the peak of it, in my opinion, in terms of how we played. So really, really, kind of that's the formation and at its best. And when we have all of our personnel available, that's how Newcastle are able to play at their best. And again, with similar again, obviously, if you look down the right side, even Murphy and Tino, they've also, because of Murphy's a classic forward, i.e. a right-footed winger, you know, swinging them balls into Isak. I don't know how many goal contributions they've had between each other this season. You got that overlap of Tino, Livramento going on, so you can have almost like an overload depending on what line you want, whether it's a Hall on the other side or a Tino on the other side, you've got those overloads happening, those cutbacks, all of them crossing into the box. But again, you got the back, you got a Tonali and Joe Linton screening the back three, while as the other five are able to do their thing on the other side. And that's what gave us our balance. And we're able to kind of not get caught in transition so much. So we're able to defend, but we were able to attack as well, right? So that was like kind of us at our best. However, and this is where we're talking about drop-off in form. When Mr. Joe Linton is not available, Newcastle United suffer. Yeah. They suffer because, as somebody mentioned, and Antonio Mango said, I know what you think about this, Mitch, and I'll go to you, is you can see already what the problem is. Willock has got attacking instincts. He joins in the fun of attacking everybody else, right? So now we've got 6 players up front, and only Tonali in that midfield area having to screen the back three. And he's got that huge distance in the middle where he has to cover a lot of ground. So teams have the option of either going left or right, wherever Tonali isn't, essentially, to be able to attack. And if you remember, especially against teams that did the mid-block against us, Fulham's, Bournemouth's, they absolutely tore us a new one through the direct play. And this is my, Antonio Mango said that he kind of believes where Willock is possibly even like a number 10, really. And it's just that João Pedro is better as a number 10.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
He almost sees like
Willock's nowhere near good enough on the ball to play number 10.
Right.
He's not like in tight spaces. That's not Joe Willock. He has to be driving on with it and seeing the game open up in front of him rather than getting it in little pockets.
Exactly. That's why he couldn't play. That's why Howard probably was never really comfortable in playing a 4-2-3-1 formation if he wanted to. Yeah. But Willock still got those instincts. And it left us very, very vulnerable whenever Joe Linton is injured. Thankfully, he wasn't injured for the final against Liverpool, where he played a massive role. Every time Liverpool were doing those cutbacks, it was him that was clearing it. So he had that kind of this defensive discipline, and Tonali wasn't by himself in providing those screens. So enter Mr. Pedro. Newcastle were able to play the 4-2-3-1. And this is partly why the 4-2-3-1 is, and why a lot of teams are beginning to play it. But this is where the evolution of our team could be happening. Whereas with a 4-2-3-1, you've got Pedro, who's essentially, and he'll probably come out as a 4-4-2 when people are kind of looking at it, like when we're without the ball. But you've got Pedro playing just behind Isak. Yeah. You know, many times when we kind of got those mid blocks or setting up we've got mid blocks up against us, Isak has to drop in because he's not getting the ball. These are the areas that Mr. Pedro thrives. You talked about close control and being in tight spaces. Mr. Pedro is very, very good in tight spaces. He started off as a defensive midfielder in Brazil, hence why he's kind of evolved into what he's doing now. And with it also, he's got that kind of look for a key pass on the through ball. And he's able to play. He's also able to join in if the attack's on the left. With Gordon, he'll be able to join in on the left of Gordon, allow Gordon to either he'll go in between Gordon and Isak, or he'll go on the outside of a Gordon, likewise on the same size of Isak. So he's got that ability to either do the through balls or join in the play in that way. But also, with the double pivot, Newcastle are able to protect the back four with 2 players. If it came to be. So even if we're caught in transition, we've got 2 midfielders screening the back 4 in that type of situation. So which is why the 4-2-3-1 is so favoured amongst teams. And the other thing that you can do is, with that back 4, you create the box midfield that a lot of the teams do. Chelsea do it, Arsenal do it, where essentially what you get is, and you can do either way, either Tonali or Hall. And so I've got Hall in this position, but you can change between Tonali and Hall if you want. What would happen is the fullback would invert, but in this case, I've got obviously you can have it either invert and screen the back three, or invert and join further up the field. I've got Hall a little bit further up, and you've got Pedro going onto the right side or the left side, but you have him on the right side. So essentially, if you divide it now, but from Hall and Pedro, between Hall and Pedro and Tonali and Bruno, you've got a back five of a Tonali, Bruno, Skriniar, Botman, and Burn and Tino, and you've got now a front five of Isak being supported by Pedro, Hall, Gordon, and Elanga.
Yeah.
Right? And you've got that midfield dominance in the middle between Tonali, Hall, and Pedro and Bruno, where they're able to have, you'd always have that space, you'd always have a free person, especially, typically against three-man midfields, for instance.
And you can do it from both sides as well. I don't know if that's what the next slide is with Tino, where Elanga is, Elanga in where Pedro is, Hall back in the back three. It's just you can have either fullback goes. It looks ever so slightly different because I don't think Tino will invert much, but then that'll be Elanga goes in, so Tino goes wide.
Exactly, and he can do it.
Yeah.
But this is where you can. This is the tactical flexibility that people keep on talking about of having a Pedro. This is why I think it was an not easy sell, but it was a sell to Pedro, that you can still play with Isak. I think it's a harder sell to a Delap, for instance. We were after Delap.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's a much harder sell to Delap.
He's a striker, he's a full-on number 9. He's not doing this attacking midfield stuff, playing at number 10. Right,
and you don't really want Isak doing that full time either. It's good to watch it in glimpses for It'll be good to see it in glimpses for Newcastle, but you want him as the spearhead, the main man through the middle.
Exactly. And again, this is where we mentioned obviously Ramsey can play this role as well in terms of either the attacking role of Pedro, but more so in the midfield. So if you can see that Joelinton is not in this role, by the way. But instead, you've got the 2 midfield pivots. Yeah. That kind of changes, for instance, the type of players that we're looking for. So this is how it would look like in its full glory, if I can say that. For instance, obviously, in our case, it will be. In fact, I've got it on the screen here. So but anyway, you've got 5 players at the back here: Hall, Bruno, Botman, Burn, and Tino, and you've got up front Gordon, Tonali, Isak, Pedro, and Elanga. Right. With the 2 midfield pivots, Miley would love that role where Bruno is, and Mr. Ramsey would love that role where Mr. Hall is, or even in the advanced areas, Miley where Pedro is, and Mr. Ramsey where Tonali is. So that's why I don't think it was mentioned, he's not an upgrade on Willock. I don't even think he's necessarily like a direct replacement for Willock. He can be a replacement for Tonali. He can be a replacement for Joelinton. If really called upon, for Gordon on the left wing, even though I think Pedro can do that job role as well. But that kind of Pedro number 10, I know that it was a lot of kind of banging on about us getting that right centre back and that right winger, which is very, very important. But what I think they've hidden very, very well is this number 10 role is super, 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 super important.
And like a lot of the big clubs are now going down that route, aren't they? Like City looking like they're going to play a 4-2-3-1 next season. Liverpool have just spent 130 million pounds on number 10.
150 million euros on number 10.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I didn't think it would come back around this quick. I thought we'd see one more season of some of the formations we've been seeing. I didn't think 4-2-3-1 would come back in this quick. But a lot of teams seem to be rushing back to it. They're not even trying to get there slowly. They're trying to get there now.
Exactly. And this is, if Liverpool are spending 150 million, this is where we're going to. This is where we're at. Chelsea were just fortunate that we're able to get Cole Palmer for 45 million.
Yeah.
Right. I think part of the reason why Arsenal are struggling is because they don't really have a natural number 10 as well. And this is where the game is heading to. And like I said, this is where this is including the players that we've brought in. Again, Isak, Mr. Number 1, Ilanga. What is also important about that 4-2-3-1 is, and Chelsea have this style where and I don't know if Gordon will like this so much, but this is how we're going to have to make it work, where the wingers are touchline wingers, essentially, and they keep the width. And you'll get your Pedros in and or your Ramseys, for instance, in these type of positions as well. And they've got obviously the options of either driving in themselves, laying off the ball, or even you've got this smooth interchange, which Ramsey and Gordon were really, really good. If you see the articles, they played about 5-6 games together. Some really, really good articles on how they play together. We talked about it on the show. You've got these type of things, abilities to do. But also, like you said, Mitch, where Isak can drop in. Pedro will go in there. And what Pedro's really, really good at as well is dropping into midfield and taking the ball on himself and absolutely driving with it as well. And it allows you to have that tactical flexibility where people can screen the backline. But even if you look at our backline, Mitch, and the chat as well, Mark Gahey plays on the left side for Crystal Palace. Yes, he's going to be a right centre back, but his flexibility and able to play on this right side and provide the switch balls to the right midfield here, to the likes of Ilanga, touchline wingers who love to cut in. Gordon, touchline wingers who love to cut in, but he likes to be central as well, but he's got that ability. And it just allows a lot more flexibility. And you can see this pace and strength. You've got Botman, Gahey, and Livramento, covered either by Lewis Miley or a Bruno. Where's Bruno G? Where is he? Here we go, Bruno G. It just gives you that flexibility. Or a Joe Linton, right? Where's Tonali? I had Tonali somewhere here.
He's just behind the goal in the middle, I think.
Oh, here we go.
One below Joe Linton? No, that's Joe Linton again. One
there
below
he
him.
is.
Yeah.
This is partly why I'm so excited to see it, because I think there is, and like you said, I think we've got a big pursuit for Mr. Pedro.
Yeah.
I think that's the important part here. But I see our style of play evolving in what we can do, and it allows us to have that tactical flexibility. Even if we want to go back to our traditional 4-3-3, we can do. Obviously, Joe Linton is there providing that kind of tactical. And you don't, like I said, you don't necessarily miss the defensive discipline where Ramsey does chat back. He does that part in him. He is a midfielder. He described himself as a boxing, so you don't lose that. What Ramsey doesn't want to do is be here.
Yeah, instead of Gordon, yeah. And we have
Ramsey does not want to be this guy responsible for doing this stuff. But Gordon does.
Yeah.
And Gordon doesn't want to be here. But Ramsey does. Do you get it? Hence why, not only for financial reasons, but for on the pitch, why the Barnes situation makes so much sense. Even for Barnes. Barnes doesn't want to be here, dropping on here and collecting the ball.
Yeah.
He wants no business there. But Ramsey does.
That's kind of why I'm sort of getting a little bit more on board with the Barnes sale type of talk, because at first I was like, no, I love Harvey Barnes, such a good player. Can't lose his end product. But he is just a left forward. Everybody else in our team has got the flexibility for us to change mid-game, but Barnes just does not look anywhere near as productive on the right. We don't think we've ever seen him through the middle, so they fully believe that's not going to happen. So he just has to play one position, and I think that hinders us.
I agree. And there's just so much flexibility in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Botman, Livramento, Mark Gahey, Lewis Hall obviously inverts. Pedro. Have I got enough players here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm missing the player. I'm missing the centre back, I think. No, I'm not. Midfielder.
You're missing the centre midfielder, yeah.
Where's Tanar? Or Bruno, he's the captain. I just think it makes a lot of sense. And even if like, depending on what lineup you want to choose, our bench looks a whole lot stronger. Joe Linton, even though he would hate to be on the bench. Joe Linton, I got Joe Linton twice here.
Two Joe Lintons. Now that would be special if we could clone Joe Linton.
That would be beautiful. But Joe Linton, Byrne, Murphy, got Tonali on the bench, amazing. You know, Lewis Miley, but that's the whole point of rotating players.
Yeah.
Right? So
this is your Sunday after a midweek in the Burnabout. If we're away to Burnley, this is that kind of lineup.
Exactly.
Where it still looks strong, but people look at the bench and they're like, "Wow, like they've got game changers coming off the bench."
Exactly. And you know, maybe Gordon's tired from the Burnabout, and Jacob Ramsey is reluctantly having to go there.
But Alanga can go there, and Jacob Murphy can come on the right, can't he?
Yeah. Alanga on the left side, and Murphy on the. Of course, it just makes a lot of sense. Yeah, of course, he can play on the left. So, I think we're evolving into a really, really good team. If we can pull off these transfers. And everything that we're doing. Oh gosh, I took Mitch off stage. But yeah, what's your kind of overall thoughts, Mitch, before I go to the chat, in terms of everything that kind of, in terms of the pitch and not pitch, what kind of the style of play and what we're trying to do, what I think we're trying to do, and I think why I think Pedro is so pivotal to that, or number 10 really.
The more and more I think about it, and the more and more I look into it, the more I'm excited about the way we're going. I remember saying back in sort of October time, September time, before we turned the form around, I could see Eddie Howe trying to evolve so that Bruno and Tonali were like a rotating pivot in the midfield. And now it looks like he's trying to set it up so they're actually a double pivot, rather than switching roles mid-game, one of them centre with a 3, the other the centre with a 3. And it just makes so much sense for the tactical flexibility that we need. You could name a lineup. This is one thing I love to have in a team, is you can name a lineup. It goes out an hour and a half before the game, and the other team can't figure out how you're actually going to line up until you're on the pitch. And we look to be getting more and more players that allow us to do that, like your João Pedro is key to it.
Yes.
Because he can play so many various roles that they're going to be like, oh, how are they actually going to play today? And that is something that will make us so much harder to set up against throughout the whole season.
And that's the whole point. I didn't even mention this. Is that what you're saying? But also rotation for Isak.
Yeah, when he plays, he can play the 9, which then allows us to still keep that same system. We could put Jacob Ramsey in the 10 now and bring another midfielder in.
Maybe even Miley.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting. That's a young midfield. Ramsey, Miley, like fresh energy. I know Ramsey's about 24 now, but Ramsey, Miley, Bruno, Hall, like.
But even that, you look at that team and you're like, I like it.
Right.
I like it. Whereas we have never been in a position to bring 4 or 5 players that might actually start on the bench and go, actually, I still like that team. You look at it and you're starting to think, oh, we could be in trouble today. But now it's like, that's strong. I'd back us to win quite a few games that way.
And deal with the low blocks, with the mid blocks, with having the 2 pivots in Tonali and Bruno, or Pedro dropping in, or Ramsey dropping in, and adding that extra body in midfield as well. I'm super, super excited about it. And you've got so much flexibility in doing it, honestly. Hopefully we can pull it off. So let's see what the chat's saying. Are they as on board with it? Oh, by the way, great views today, guys. Anybody that's new that's coming as well, welcome to the channel, guys, and God bless. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe as well. Guys are really, really good. We had this week, I said the week just gone, we had 17 new subscribers. So, guys, and that's down to you guys doing the likes, doing the shares, and everything else. So, deeply, deeply appreciate you guys for that. So, as you mentioned, Aaron, and I read this before, Ramsey is a tiny upgrade. I think Ramsey just kind of the overall kind of thing, but I think the team is heading to, even if he is a tiny upgrade, he's how do I say? He's part of a collective that makes it a very big upgrade, like to what we're trying to do.
He's a tiny upgrade on peak Willock, but we haven't seen peak Willock since the big injury about 18 months ago. So he's a massive upgrade on this current Willock we're seeing. But he's a tiny upgrade on the Willock we were seeing that was playing 40-yard outside of the boot passes to Isak against Tottenham. That's
right.
But we haven't seen that Willock for ages.
I missed that Willock. I missed that Willock.
I think everybody does.
Even Isak misses that Willock. To be honest.
He's loving Willock through that spell. Like with the Joe Linton Willock dovetail on the left, we were just shredding teams. It was wonderful.
All Isak wants to do is be on the last man. If he's gonna just be on the last man. He can play here. He doesn't mind dropping in if he has to, if it makes sense. Even if he drops here and Pedro picks it up here. But all Isak really wants to do is be on the last man.
Yeah.
Don't make him pick up the ball here. Don't make him go over here. Just let him be on the last man.
Yeah.
That's all he wants to do.
Keep him as close to the goal as humanly possible.
Exactly. And so does Gordon. Let me put Mr. Murphy off. Where's Gordon? Gordon here. Similar to Gordon. And Ramsey doesn't want to be here too much. He wants to give it to this guy.
Yeah.
And, Elanga doesn't mind either. And Pedro. So it just makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. It's going to cost a lot of money. We talked about it. But we've got some sellable assets. We've got means of doing it.
Yeah.
Team season, Jake and I don't play for the senior team, but they play together for either under 21s or 23s. There's literally, I did a show on it because we matched. I compared Ramsey with Willock and others because I was talking. I can't remember if you was on it, Mitch, because we were trying to figure out why would Newcastle do a deal with Villa over. I don't know if it was with you, Mitch.
No, I don't think it was. We did Howson.
Oh, okay.
We did Madueke.
Because we answered the question in terms of why. I got the wrong highlights for him. But we answered the question, why would Newcastle swap Jacob Ramsey for Harvey Barnes? Because that was rattling in my brain. And it's because of what we're talking about, this tactical flexibility that he provides. And I got to find out that Ramsey and Gordon play together for England under 21s. And there's literally news articles talking about how fluid the attack was with both of them there. They would assist each other. Jacob Ramsey would crash into the box, which he himself said, I love to do. But he doesn't want to do what Gordon does, which is be responsible for making goals and stuff like that. But Gordon does. Right? This is why they work so well together. And I think this is what Eddie Howe's thinking about in terms of matching and doing these kind of matches. And Elanga, guess who he played with in Sweden? Mr. Isak.
Isak, yeah.
Mr. Isak is what he's thinking about. And then when he's talking about João Pedro, he's thinking about Gomes, he's talking about Joe Linton, he's always thinking about these profiles and these relationships. Are the other number 10s he can go for a cheaper price? 100%. But he's not only just trying to...
You then add too many... If you go for other number 10s that are cheaper, you then add too many things that can go wrong.
Right.
João Pedro, the only thing that I feel that could possibly go wrong with João Pedro is his petulance sometimes. Lashes out for no reason. That's the bit he needs to stop. But everything else, anybody who's watched him can see he's a ready-made top-level Premier League player.
And what people need to remember is, and someone mentioned it, is that in his whole career has had one red card, as far as I know. He was captain at Brighton. He moved from Brazil to come to Watford. Was it Watford first that he went to? Where he smashed out Watford. He nearly went to Newcastle before going to Brighton. There's some real characteristics. This is why I think Eddie Howe, Eddie Howe loves guys that are dangerous. Like that's just you don't buy Gordon, you don't buy Bruno Gomes, Tonali. Goodness gracious me, these are guys that all are on the edge. Like, and you remember people saying, "Can Eddie Howe handle big personalities?" Yeah, he can. But yeah,
Of course he can.
right. So I don't know how Arteta will do in the changing room with Dan Burn and Joe Linton going at it. Like, I don't know. But these are the guys that will break. But you also need squads that can absorb these big personalities. You can't just buy big personalities or kind of certain characteristics, and your squad is vulnerable to it. We've got the leadership group. We've got the people that can handle it.
Yeah,
in my opinion, in order to do that. And Isak's no shrinking violet himself. So there's a lot there. Gordon, like it's all over the pitch with these guys. But for every Gordon, you've got a Murphy. For every, João Pedro, you've got a Joe Linton.
A Joe Linton, right? Yeah, and a Bruno, and people
Who's
just
captain.
Knocking him back into line and stuff like that, yeah.
Right, exactly. Back to the chats. Robojog, good to see. God bless you, sir. Because the commercial revenue increases more organically, think the Newcastle Villas will more likely sell sought-after players for profit and get replacements with lower wages, similar to Brighton. Yeah, well, we kind of talked about that in terms of like the players we're bringing. Was it because of commercial? You were kind of shaking your head there, Mitch.
I agree with the most of it, apart from the similar to Brighton thing, because Brighton's model is based on selling their assets to keep where they are. We'll sell assets that when we know it's going to eject us to another level. We won't sell it to plateau and stay where we are. Brighton haven't moved anywhere for years. Now they've been sat in that same little mold, and that's not what we're doing. We'll only sell an asset if we know we can bring in 2 or 3 players from selling that asset that then push us further on.
And this transfer window will solidify exactly what you're saying, Mitch. And not only the players that we bring in, but the contracts that we renew. If God willing, if we renew Mr. Isak's contract and it comes out, we're paying him 250. We're not Brighton. No. we're a team that's looking to challenge. Honestly, because Brighton aren't giving anybody 250. They're not giving anybody 250.
No chance. As soon as it gets to the point they've got to break their wage budget, they get sold and they start again. They get someone else. They find another Ecuadorian or wherever they find them from and build again. And that's not what we're going to do. Not a chance.
Exactly. Robojog, the replacements quality and wages will increase with the increase in commercial revenue. Yep, to the point where I think it's been predicted that we might get 400 million next season as well, which is in revenue, which should be incredible. To the point where 1, you don't have to sell to buy. I agree. 2, you can match wages as the big legacy club. I agree. But would help even more though, academy players.
Yes.
It couldn't be even more. There's a reason why Liverpool have 6 to 7 academy players, and their wages are still sky high, by the way. But honestly, we have to really, really ramp up that academy because we can't just. Everything you said to Robojog is right, and I think we're in agreement. Like most of it, academy player. I think Miley alone saves us currently between 30 and 50 million pounds. Honestly,
yeah,
right.
100%. And there's a few others coming through that I've been seeing clips of recently that just. They look like crazy talents.
If we got to keep Minte, we're saving 50. We're not looking at 50 to 60 million for Elanga.
For Elanga, yeah.
That's the whole point of buying £7 million Minte. So, yeah. Right? So I know that he wasn't in our academy, but he would have. That was the idea behind.
Yeah, that was kind of like one of the risks of we buy this guy for 7 mil. 18 months time, he could potentially play for us. Or we flip him and we get our money back, if not more.
Exactly. And then
we just didn't get the opportunity. Well, we flipped him in the end, but he's someone who actually could have come on and made a difference for us this season.
Precisely. I totally agree with that. Team season, Philip, he's had no impact. Sorry, stop selling a lie.
That's Ramsey again, I think.
What's that, sorry?
I think that's on Ramsey again.
Oh, is that on Ramsey? All season data proves he's done nothing. You can't lie to make him good. I don't think I'm not trying to sell. Like I've got nothing to gain by trying to sell Ramsey to the guys. We've done a show on him before, and it's just a different profile.
Yeah.
If folks don't like him, we don't like him. I'm not saying we must have this guy. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to break down is why why. Instead of saying, oh, he's rubbish, I can't believe Eddie Howe wants him. I'm trying to find out why Eddie Howe wants him and why it makes sense to do that.
It's kind of like the styles makes fights thing. People say in boxing, it's the style of the player. It's not the actual player and his attributes we've seen so far. It's the profile they bring into our system that makes it exciting.
Precisely. People were asking, why are you buying 45 million Gordon? He's only scored the maximum 5 Gordon games. Why are you bringing Isak from Real Sociedad for 70 million? Why are you bringing... How many other players have they been talking? Dan Burn, they said our first transfer window underwhelming.
Yeah. Even Trippier. Trippier's only coming because you're paying him 400 grand a week and all the rubbish they were coming out with at the time. It turned out he took a pay cut to come here.
Right. He's, So we're just trying to get under the surface. We've got folks already here. I don't know if you've seen teams in the chat who really disagree with Ramsey, and that's cool. Like even if you saw at the beginning of the chat, people rejoicing that Madueke isn't coming here because I was saying I think he's good. Right? So
yeah, that's one I still can't get on. But every time I watch this guy, he's not even a Newcastle player, and he frustrates me because he could be exceptional, but he just seems to have no brain and no end product. It's so annoying.
So you can see teams saying, I'm not convincing anybody of the lie. Like it's just like if I'm lying, I'm just doing it. If you think that's my thing, it's like it's clearly not working for the chat, right? So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Aaron Cave, but great question though. Aaron Cave, if it's Ramsey or Lamine Kamara, he had a good game today against England. I'm picking Kamara all day. He's a better fit for us, and he's an Eddie Howe player. Yeah, I mean, we could still go in for him. I could just see why, and you might be right, Aaron. I can see there's reasons, so many more reasons why we're doing it. It's a swap deal with from a financial point. It's a swap deal with Aston Villa, where we could potentially come out with a profit in our PSR with it. Also, there's a lower risk element, i.e. Ramsey already plays in the Premier League and has been playing in the Premier League for about 3-4 years. Also, Ramsey has played with Gordon in England, has a good relationship with him as well. Kamara has never played with him. So I won't go as far as say plug and play, but you can as close as you can get to a plug and play type of player in that. So even maybe you're right in ability wise and current stats wise, Kamara is better. I can just see where Eddie Howe's coming from in terms of getting this. I won't be surprised if Brighton can get Kamara, for instance. That'll be annoying.
A Brighton or a Bournemouth or someone like that. I could definitely see it. But them clubs are going to take risks like that. Whereas a lot of the times people go, yeah, why don't the big clubs just go and scout these players and get them in before they've been at a Brighton or a Bournemouth?
Exactly.
It's a risk. It's
exactly.
a big risk.
Arsenal are picking
it. Don't want to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. There's a reason why Arsenal are paying £60 million for a defensive midfielder in Zubimendi rather than the 30-40 million pounds for Kamara.
Yeah.
This, it's everybody's, it's just the big sides are doing it. Team season. So you're saying give them goal outputs and we take their get that right, give away Barnes, hard work that gets us top 5 for a number 6 choice. Do you know football? I think if you're saying we're selling Barnes to get who has a great output compared to a Ramsey who doesn't have a great output. And I think, and if you just take them as individual players, you have a point. But as we talked about in the show, in terms of the tactical breakdown, what I think Howe is trying to do by getting your João Pedros, it's not just Ramsey. I think you're focused on Ramsey, but as a collective in João Pedro, in Mr. Ramsey coming in, and what the ripple effects that is for Isak, for Gordon, how it would increase their goals and goal creations and assists and Ilanga's, for instance. So I think that's why they're doing it. I think in an ideal world, when there's no PSR problems, they probably keep Barnes and buy maybe a better version of Ramsey or whoever's out there. But it's not. It is a PSR world. So I'm kind of seeing it. I'm trying to do my best to see it through Eddie Howe's eyes and the club's eyes. If Eddie Howe, we've been linked to Mr. Ramsey, isn't no one in the chat, Mitch isn't shocked that I've mentioned Ramsey because we've been linked to him for years. I'm trying to understand why are we linked to him? what is the reason why we're linked to him? So I can see it from Mr. Howe's view. Wilbur Jog, all is... Oh, sorry, Mitch, you're right to stay on for a little bit, or...
Yeah.
I've gone over time. Yeah? So I've gone over time, folks. I'll finish the chat. Wilbur Jog, all is to say the wage bill is the best indicator of a squad quality. Yes. And likelihood of success, which is directly affect the club's commercial revenues. I agree. Our revenues, our wage bills were like 8th or 9th, but we finished 5th this season. But we can't rely on that. So we now have to, well, when we started off the show, we have to renew contracts to keep our best players and bring in players whose wages I estimate we're going to have to double to bring in. So I expect us to be
pushing into full third, full fifth, that kind of bracket. You can only be the exception to the rule for so long. It only works so many times. It's like trying to rob the same bank twice. Not going to happen.
And just remember, if the referee didn't make the wrong decision in the Aston Villa versus Man United game, we'll be in the Europa. Like, we won't be in the Champions League, right?
This would be a completely different conversation.
Yeah, and talking to Isak, I said, how do you feel about Europa?
Yeah, how do you feel about 130 grand a week?
We're having a totally different conversation, right? And I just think how in that moment when he was waiting for the last 30 seconds of the game to figure the middle of the game to finish out, that would have been running through his head. And also Mr. Al-Ramayan, Mr. PIF would have been thinking, yeah, we was this close. Aaron Cave, 100% bang on. Wilbur think the frustration is there are gems out there and we'd like the club to broaden its horizons rather than look locally for overinflated prices from the Prem. And we talked about it. I agree. I think we can take more risks when you've got a squad that can do it. We took the risk of Minte, for instance, because we had a Jacob Murphy and it was a lower price. That made sense. In terms of the squad, the team, we're 18 months behind because we haven't been able to buy a first team player for free transfer windows. I really believe that if we go through this round and we get the players that we spoke about, next season, should we keep more, like it makes us more in a better place if we, for instance, have to sell a bigger player next season. Hopefully we don't. But if we have to, we're in a better place to do it. And we're in a better place to take on. There's a reason why we mentioned the Moroccan lad we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Right? I forgot the gentleman's name. I think he played for Ajax. You mentioned his name, Ali something, right? But we can take Ali because we've got Gehi, or if we get Gehi, for instance, we've got Shaw and we've got Lascelles. So you can take risks on those players and bring them up as we did with Minte. So, yeah, that's my kind of overall thoughts on it. Jordy Toon for life. Good to see you, sir. God bless you. Good evening, Philip. I hope you and your family are keeping well. Living life to the full. Living life to the full. A few more area abilities. My biggest concern with Gay. Yeah, that one. Team season. I'm not gonna lie. Gay, he does need to work on his aerial ability. But that's why you got Botman there.
Yes.
That's why you got Botman.
I don't actually. Is he really that bad in the air, though, Gay?
It's not.
It's not like the numbers.
He's 5 foot 8, 9, 10. It's not elite. Put it that way. It's not elite.
He's like similar. He's like Shah levels, though, isn't he? Like in terms of percentage of winning headers.
Lower. I want to say lower, but I'm happy to be wrong on that. Sam, good to see you. God bless you. Toon Tactics. Good to see you, sir. Nat. Good to see you, Nat. Hope you're well. I haven't seen you for a bit. God bless you. Good evening, guys. Good evening to you, Nat. Kim Cam, money is there. It depends on how spends it. Remind gave him carte blanche. Well, if you're Howe and you've just won a battle to the death with Mr. Mitchell, if anyone saw my thumbnail where Howe was sitting on the Game of Thrones chair, that's how I pictured it. JB Addison, I don't know if I've seen you before, but God bless you. Good to have you on. Good morning. Afternoon and evening. Oh yeah, of course, international mags. Welcome all international mags to the show. If Gay has 1 year left on his contract, I wouldn't pay more than 25 million.
Yeah, that's
well,
unfortunately that's not the way it works.
if Gay he's 25 million, you can best believe Liverpool are in for him, Chelsea are in for him, Arsenal in for him, and he's saying, I forgot about Newcastle. So we can say we can give whatever price we want, but if he's 25 million, it's not going to happen that way. Unfortunately, I don't think it will.
Even if Palace said, yeah, you can have him for 25 million, as soon as that's accepted, Liverpool come in and go 30, Chelsea come in and go 35, Man United come in and go 40, Arsenal come in and go 45, and we're back where we was in the first place. And it's just like it's never going to happen for a player of that quality, even with 1 year left.
Exactly. Red Devil United, hi all. God bless you, said. Welcome to the channel. Kim Cam, Pedro will solve lots of problems for us. He will be a start, St. James. I really think so. I really think so too. Got a few more and we'll wrap things up. Aaron Kane, if we forget Pedro, how might go back for that 4-4-1-1 like he did at Bournemouth with Pedro behind Isak? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Philip, Philip, stop plagiarizing my ideas. I nearly missed this one. Here we go. Philip, stop plagiarizing my ideas. Say it again.
I saw it as it came in and it made me laugh.
Oh, is it? Okay, listen. Philip, stop plagiarizing my ideas. I told you a while ago about how Nunes can become a good market opportunity since you'll probably get him at a discount from City. Okay. So if we do loan up Mr. Miley, hopefully it's a loan. Okay. My apologies. I didn't realize. I'm lying. I'm plagiarizing. It's a crazy show on tonight, but
I'm going to start calling you Eddie Guerrero.
If Nunes is so versatile and underrated by Mr. Guardiola, but I think if you I heard the scouting reports I've read on him and his stats and everything else, and he suits a transition team. So yeah, Kim Cam, I think his wages are also doable for us as well. Kim Cam, not big fan of Wilco, never done much, just a promise, never materialized. Unfortunately, that's how it's turned out to be. Elena Marciliano, sheesh, bro. But welcome to the channel. My first time seeing you. God bless you. I definitely want how to stay. The blokes prejudice and obsessed with average British players. Sheesh.
Yeah,
that's a bit harsh. I think Bruno, Isak, Botman, Tonali. I think they all. I think they might disagree with you on that one. Jonathan Francois, our super chat's not enabled. Was going to give what you. Thank you so much for offering that, Jonathan Francois. I think I need to get like 1,000 subscribers or something like that to be able to have super chats. So really, really appreciate the gesture, and hopefully help again. That actually reminds me, folks, like, share, and subscribe, and hopefully get us to 1,000. And next time you folks want to do a super chat, we can do. But at the moment, we'll just it's for free. But I really, really appreciate the gesture there, Jonathan. Kim Cam, there are no similarities between Brighton and Newcastle. Thank you. And we want to keep it that with all respect to Brighton. Couple more. Jonathan Francois, our recruitment has left us in a superb position. Yes, nearly every incoming transfer has increased in value. Yep. Due to Eddie, he really has supercharged our rebuild. Having no major transfer flops is huge. Yeah, I fully agree. We fully agree. Mitch is also nodding his head there. We both fully agree there. Kim Cam academies are overrated. One player makes it every 300 years.
Yeah, that's the old Newcastle academy.
Exactly.
So a whole new club, and we'll see a lot more of them.
And I think Man City Academy would disagree with you. There's like 20 academy players being sold out there that have made. I think Man City made like $500 million from selling their academy players.
They're littered. Man City's academy players are littered all over the league at the minute. So it's
Chelsea,
crazy to say only so few come through. They're everywhere.
Newcastle would love to be in that position. Japadoni, I haven't seen you for a while. Evening, chaps. Evening to you, sir. Kim Cam, Rams is about what could be, not about what he's doing now. The promise of youth. You know what? You could very well be right, Kim Cam. But Eddie Howe believes in him. Eddie Howe believes, and even in the Aston Villa channel, they had a view that there's more to come from Rams, from Ramsey, but they don't think it will happen at Villa because he keeps on getting played left wing. He is a central midfielder. and Eddie Howe offers him central midfield, especially if it's a pivot as well or a left 8. Wobajog think Noni oh no, back to Noni. Wobajog, you missed it, but people were celebrating. I hope, but I haven't read the message yet, but I hope it says no more Noni, otherwise you're going to start a fire. Wobajog think Noni, like Martinelli, are good players. No, we're heading in the wrong direction already. Are good players as long as you limit their decision options. The less they think they do, the better they perform. That's what separates the Salahs, Sakas. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Though I think I'm not going to say anymore. Alessandro Minetti, first I'm seeing you, sir. Good to have you. Oh, it says just found the channel too. Welcome to the channel, Alessandro. God bless you. Hope you enjoy the show. Really hope you enjoy the show. And last, but my guy, David Veitch. Good to see you, sir. Wonderful description of Howe's plans. Thank you. Thank you so much. Very excited by the formation going to 4-2-3-1. Likewise, I think both me and Mitch are kind of about the possibilities of it.
Massively excited by this.
Massively, honestly, with players capable of excelling in the system. That's a great way to end the show. And because we talked about literally everything, really. Talked about the I got myself off the screen. Here we go. We talked about kind of give an overall kind of view of the players that we're bringing in, but also the financial aspect that we need to be able to bring in those players. Are kind of estimated that we're going to have to spend about 180 million. We're going to have to sell about between 66 to 75 million players. That's not just for the fees, but that's just to do with the wages as well, because the wages are going to be big, especially if we want to bring Mr. Isak's wages up to 250k, which he has more than earned, and also kind of increase the wages of other people. Because the whole idea is to cement Newcastle's place in the big time. I think this season, this transfer window is going to show, are we at Brighton, which I do not believe we are, or are we here to be an elite team to compete for the league and everything else? Like, there's so much riding on this as well. But also, in terms of the players that we're bringing in, and we're kind of honed in on, there's 5 players, but we're kind of really honed in on João Pedro, possibly playing in that number 10 role, the tactical flexibility it gives us to, as Mr. Veitch talked about, into that 4-2-3-1, but also providing that kind of extra kind of support for Isak, as well as allowing us to play in the two-man in that pivot as well, where the likes of your Lewis Miley's, and if we're bringing the Ramsey, we think can really, really thrive. So players playing in the positions that they really want to be in. So as said here, we've got some really, it's coming as it's emerging for me, and also for Mitch. As the pitch is becoming a little bit more clear, obviously it's about executing and getting over the line. This transfer window is proving to be so exciting. Hopefully at the end of it as well, expecting big things. And just to add, folks, you guys have been superb in the channel tonight. I've seen like 30 plus people coming in. The engagement has been amazing as well, guys. I don't know, Mitch, if you want to let folks know where they can find you as well before we wrap up.
Yeah, well, not my channel, but tomorrow, Spurs Kings TV, the Rivals, 10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
You'll catch both of us there. That's always a good show. Goes off, lots of laughs. Join us there. But for myself, every Sunday, 9 o'clock, Where the Owls Sleep. And we just do all kinds of different things. We're branching into more tactical analysis a little bit now that the season's over. But yeah, again, join us for a good chat and a little bit of a laugh.
Yeah, we're always there to provide. It's funny now, we're providing therapy sessions to our rivals, teaching Man United and Tottenham fans how to deal with relegation, or how to fight relegation. It's always amusing. So, folks, do feel free to come on the show. And as always, folks, make sure you look after each other. I'm going to timestamp the show for you guys to see as well. Make sure you look after each other. Have a great evening, whatever you do. And as always, folks, good night and God bless.